Hello and welcome to the Cryptocurrency News channel. We're going to talk about how Bitcoin's increased centralization will skyrocket and moon altcoins. Now, I mean centralization in terms of centralization of supply or coins, not so much centralization of nodes or centralization of mining power. That needs to stay decentralized. And ever since China basically banned Bitcoin mining, that has become more decentralized. Now, we have big players like Michael Saylor, Do Kwon, and many others buying a lot of Bitcoin. Like Do Kwon wants to buy $10 billion worth of Bitcoin. Michael Saylor already has hundreds of thousands of Bitcoins. You also have Grayscale, which also has a lot of Bitcoins. So these big institutions and entities are storing and centralizing more of the Bitcoin supply. And you can bet other big players will do so as well, buying more of the OTC supply. So my guess is like a couple, maybe a few dozen big Bitcoin holders will eventually hold the majority of Bitcoin. Now, remember, you might be saying, well, they're always mining more. But remember, Bitcoin has a fixed max supply around 21 million. And about 18 of that 21 million is already mined. So everyone's fighting over the last 3 million of them, which will take until 2021, like 40 or something, to actually mine. So essentially, that's not going to play a big part. The Bitcoins that are lost are already lost. So there will be a couple of big wallets or multiple wallets held by like maybe a couple of dozen entities, in my opinion, that eventually will hold most of the Bitcoin, because once the big players come in, they're going to hold most of the Bitcoin. So unlike some other currencies, unlike some other cryptos, I do eventually believe that Bitcoin will be more centralized in distribution. Now, some of you may not like that thought, and that's just too bad because, for mainstream adoption, if Bitcoin is to be intended to use as a store of value or as a medium of transfer or something like that, or if you want to have it be adopted by like governments and stuff, it's going to have to be held. Well, not have to be, but it's going to be held by a couple of big banks and institutions, which it's already underway because we know some of the big banks are already buying Bitcoin. It's not any other coin; it's Bitcoin that's actually being bought by these banks, and it's Bitcoin that's being bought by some countries. So it'll be a lot of big banks and countries and individuals like Saylor, Elon Musk, Do Kwon, that's going to own a lot of the Bitcoin. But this is not bad for altcoins. It's going to be really, really good for altcoins because remember, altcoins follow Bitcoin's price. And in order to actually accumulate so much Bitcoin, guess what these big entities have to do? That's right, they have to buy Bitcoin. And some of them may buy on OTC, some of them may buy on spot. Do Kwon, for his part, I think he actually does buy a lot on spot. I think Saylor mostly buys on OTC. But as they buy more and more on OTC, we're talking about like millions upon billions of dollars worth of buys of Bitcoin. The supply of OTC Bitcoin will actually dry up. And then they'll be forced more and more, especially some of these later institutions, to buy off the spot market, driving the price up. And the thing is, since Bitcoin has a limited supply, you just can't print more of it. I mean, you can make like Bitcoin Cash or Bitcoin SV, but those are garbage and no one cares about them. They're going to be fighting over the remaining Bitcoin supply, which means they're going to bid each other up, and that will increase the price of Bitcoin. Like whales bidding against each other for control of Bitcoin. I can definitely see that. And that will help the rest of the market because remember, the rest of the market follows Bitcoin up and it grows exponentially. So the thing is, as Bitcoin goes up, things like Luna, Solana, XRP, ADA, VET, even Doge, and some of the meme coins will eventually skyrocket up in a bigger proportion than Bitcoin. And retail investors like us, retail investors will actually start buying these altcoins, and that's where the volume is going to come from. So technically, you don't really need volume for Bitcoin to pump the market up. You only really need a little bit of volume from the big players on Bitcoin to start pumping the market. And then once they start pumping the market, it'll be the retail that eventually FOMOs in to the rest of the altcoins. And they'll FOMO the altcoins really, really, really hard. And it really depends on which altcoins has news at that point or more news at that point. So Centralization of the Bitcoin supply could actually be a really big boon for the Bitcoin market. Remember, when it comes to investing and making money, it's not all about decentralization. That's more for the idealistic types, which is fine if you're idealistic about it. I don't have anything against that. That's really your thing. But for most of us who want to actually make money on Bitcoin, the real money is actually like getting the centralization of Bitcoin, the big players bidding against each other, and then making Bitcoin essentially go up very, very high. So that's the news for today. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe. Hit that bell notifications button. Thank you and have a nice day.